Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. So Netflix is basically Santa this year. 2 NFL games on Christmas Day, streaming live. At 1 p.m. Eastern, it's Cowboys, Commanders. Then at 4:30, you've got Lions, Vikings. Midwest football, playoff stakes, and probably some snow. Watching holiday football is a tradition the whole family can enjoy. Open some gifts, grab some food, settle in, and watch NFL Live on Netflix this Christmas Day.
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, we're getting more and more details as the news is breaking big time. A suspect has been found. He took his own life, found dead in a storage locker in Salem, New Hampshire. And they say he is the 48-year-old former Brown University student who was a student many decades ago. And they say that he is the person responsible for killing 2 students, wounding others when he opened fire, remember, last weekend. And also they say he's the same person who killed the MIT professor, that he went first to Brown, then he drove to MIT, and then he ended up in this vehicle outside of the storage locker. They said the big break in the case came when they put out the picture and the video and said there was this other person who was seen around that guy. And then when the guy ran off in the bushes right around Brown University, that it seemed like they had had some sort of interaction before and the guy was running away from that other guy, like he didn't want the other guy to see him. So they said, who is this other guy? They put out the video, and those images that we saw, the very grainy pictures, mostly from, ring tones, ring bells, ring lights, ring cameras, on outside of, that you see on, people's homes and apartments. And that video that you got from the Ring camera turned out to be clearly the big break in the case, because what happened was then that guy in those pictures said, you know what, that's me. That's me to law enforcement. And then he said, yeah, I can tell you what the guy looked like. I had an encounter with him in the bathroom. I was wondering, what is this guy who seemed a lot older and had a mask on and all that stuff hanging out in the bathroom of Brown University? And then he said, you shouldn't be here. He was kind of scolding the guy because he looked completely out of place. Of course, a lot different than the average student there at Brown. And then he said he saw him again. And so he said that's why he said he knew that that guy was suspicious, he felt, and he described the vehicle. The vehicle, then they were able to locate the vehicle. And then they said, okay, well, that's the license plate of that vehicle. Then they traced it down. And that guy, it turns out, actually rented the vehicle under his own name. The guy did some other things that were kind of funky in terms of switching the license plates. He also used phones that weren't tracing to him, using credit cards that weren't traced to him, but did rent the vehicle under his own name, which is very interesting because it seemed like he was covering his tracks a lot of other ways. Maybe he thought his vehicle would never be pinpointed. And then that vehicle, it appears, was driven by the guy to the storage facility in Providence, Rhode Island. They were able to trace that he had a storage locker that he had been renting for some months there. And when they went into the storage facility, they found that the man had taken his own life in one of the storage lockers there. He still had a satchel with him and also firearms with him at the time he was found deceased. So it's unclear at what point he took his own life, if he had been dead for a few days or if he had actually taken his life as law enforcement was closing in on him tonight, because he was clearly surrounded and clearly had been found out. Meantime, through all of this, so many questions. Even tonight, you heard the president of Brown University saying, well, first she was scolding the media, saying all the swirling stories and all this. Well, it was swirling stories because you didn't have basic cameras. You had to rely on the Ring cameras at homes and apartments in the neighborhood. You have a major university, and there were clearly buildings like the one where this suspect opened fire that didn't have any cameras, or at least of significance, in the right locations. And it was right on the edge of a residential area. So it was a good place for, sadly, somebody to escape. And very minimal security, so it seems, on campus. And she's wondering why there were rumors about the case and why people were critical about her. Shame on her. That, to me, was a disgrace. She started the press conference essentially scolding the public, saying, all these swirling comments, and she wanted to kind of put the rumors to rest. Well, maybe if they had done a better job, they would have put the rumors to rest. Thank goodness they were able to spot this other guy, and thank goodness the other guy essentially said, hey, that's me. He should have come forward beforehand because he saw a suspicious guy in the bathroom, and he knew that the shooting had happened. The whole world knew the shooting happened. So I'm glad the guy came forward, but I'm not going to compliment him too much because it wasn't until his picture was out that indeed he finally decided to have the courage to come forward. But there are so many questions here tonight. And now we know that this guy went to school with the MIT professor who was killed in Portugal, that they went and took a physics class together, at least there in Portugal. So they had a relationship in Lisbon. They knew each other. Was there hostility? Was there jealousy? What was going on? We still don't know much about this individual because his name came forward apparently in the last 24 hours. It's not like they've been sitting on it. They pieced all those things together when the other guy came forward and said, that's me. Describe the guy, describe the vehicle. And now they had a name. Then they pinpointed it to the fact that he had bought a storage locker. They came to the facility and found that car that they've been looking for. And of course, now that suspect is dead, but he had a satchel with him similar to the satchel they saw in the Ring Cam video, not the great, university video, but the Ring Cam video. And there you could see he had a similar satchel. 1-800-848-9222. So many things went wrong in this case. Thank goodness that other guy came forward, but also his picture was all over the place too. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go back to Robert on line 1 in Brooklyn. Robert, now with some of these new details, what are your thoughts tonight?
Okay, well, according to Mario Norfolk, he tweeted that apparently this alleged murderer, he was terminated from they both went to this IST, Portugal's preeminent engineering school, and the alleged murderer, he was terminated from a monitor position in February 2000, the same year Professor Nuno Loureiro graduated from IST. That was like 25 years ago. Now, he apparently, according to one website, the alleged murderer came to the United States in August 2000 as a student at Brown University. But it doesn't end there. Apparently, this guy, the alleged murderer, he also attended Brown in 2020 and 2021. So, so it wasn't that long ago that he was recently in there in Brown in 2020 and 2021. So there's some sort of a connection here. He was in Brown. He has a connection to this professor. So I don't know, but I'll say this much. Elise Stefanik, she says that she's going to have this the president of Brown. She's going to make that. They're going to make her testify, because what happened is a lot of stuff with Brown that they have to answer up for. And also the law enforcement. I mean, it is. How could you have any confidence with law enforcement with what's going on? And
you know what's interesting, Robert? What did you make of that? The president, by the way, and I applaud Elise Stefanik. This president should be hauled before Congress day one, because this is exactly what you should not do with universities. Think about if they had, first of all, great security. That guy never would have been in the bathroom or in that classroom, even worse, of course. He wouldn't have been on that campus, period. So that's the problem. They didn't have cameras in that particular area. They have a lot of cameras apparently in Brown, but they didn't put it in the older buildings. Why not? Were they too cheap? Even though they have an $8 billion endowment? You got to wonder. The other thing is why were they like, they seem to have no clue what happened, no clue of video. And then they were just downright like rude almost to the media. Like, she starts her press conference today, this president, by scolding the press and the public for the swirling comments. Shame on her. I mean, she should have been out there front, and they had answers, or almost anybody capable handling the situation. There wouldn't have been swirling. Think about what happened with the Tyler Robinson case. Remember, it happened at the Utah campus. That's a college campus, too. Yet in that case, they had great pictures of him going up the stairs. You could see him going off the roof. All of these things. Immediately, within hours, all of these details were coming out. You know, what a classic case of how to do it right and how to do it wrong. Right, Robert? Go ahead.
Well, right. And also, the conservative treehouse is pointing out, apparently in August, there was some sort of a letter. I don't know if, I forgot, over 30 signatories were talking about the cameras. They didn't want the cameras on, impedes their freedom of speech, or they wrote about ICE or something like that. All I know is Elise Stefanik, she has to make this president answer up. And one other thing, I don't know if this was an Islamic situation, but I will say this. Tulsi Gabbard pointed out a few days ago, she tweeted that Islamists and Islamism is the greatest threat to the freedom, security, and prosperity of the United States and the entire world. And she said it's probably too late for Europe and maybe Australia. It's not too late for the United States of America, but it soon will be. So this is a very serious situation. Maybe this particular case is not an Islamic situation, but the people who are coming into this country, it's a big concern. In this case, I don't know. This case is very weird, and it's hard to figure out. Let's say the Keystone Cops over here. I don't know what the deal is here, but the general idea is that imagine Tulsi Gabbard is saying it's too late for Europe. It's too late for Europe, and you have countries like Great Britain and France, they're nuclear armed, and she's saying it's too late for Europe. In the United States, we better do something because, you had the council member Palladino. She said something about deporting people, and, the city council president, the incoming president.
Yeah, they went crazy on her. Robert, you're going on a lot of tangents, but I hear where you're talking about, and I'm glad you also brought up the student visa. Because that is an important issue. We have to get to the bottom of it. They said that he was, quote, a lawful resident as of 2017. So we got to get details about his background. And we don't know if he had any sort of Islamic background or whatever. He's from Portugal. There are certainly Islamic fanatics in Portugal, but we don't know if it had anything to do with it, or if, again, it might have been some jealousy or some kooky thing. We just don't know. Robert, you're terrific. Thank you very, very much. Let's go to line 2 if we can. Let's go to Joaquin in Pennsylvania. Joaquin, and everybody, we are taking your calls as the news is breaking fast and furious. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Where was the ball dropped? Does this guy get a reward? The one who came forward. But he only came forward after his picture was put on the news saying, we're looking for this guy. So I have mixed feelings on that guy. Joaquin, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, Rita, this whole thing, it's so hard because on the one hand, you kind of want to reserve any kind of comments, because it's so early in the game. But then the other side of the coin is there's so much that stinks about it. And you just made an interesting point before. And what I'd like to say is the camera situation. Doesn't it sound like a whole heck of a lot like the Epstein cameras to you?
Yeah, you're right. That suddenly things weren't working. Suddenly, and now, how come if the guy barked, right? I mean, that's the weird thing too. Remember that weird comment? Like the guy was asking. I don't know if you heard the news conference. We were all listening to it live because they said, "Well, can you tell us now if he made a comment before he opened fire?" And he said some people said he didn't do anything, and other people said he made a barking sound. I mean, what is that? I mean, that's a weird thing. And if he did indeed make a barking sound, why didn't they tell the public that? What's the reason to withhold that information? I mean, is that narrowing in on somebody? Like somebody who works at a dog pound?
Yeah, right. Yeah, unless they're trying to cover up exactly what he said, and I do want to actually make one comment. If anybody else has noticed this, I've noticed recently that ABC signal, in my opinion, has been getting hacked and distorted. And it always happens around certain conversations, certain program issues, such as previously.
Well, what you're going to do, Joaquin, this is not for air. What you could do is do me a favor. You can tell our board operator if there's some issue with certain things, because we appreciate it. Maybe more than coincidence. Who knows, Joaquin, right?
Right.
I see where you're going, and we love you, but yeah, feel free to tell them. Everybody, we're going to continue after the break. Big news tonight. The Brown University gunman has been tied to the killing of the MIT professor, and that man, a 48-year-old Portuguese national who became a resident status citizen. He had a student visa, then applied for a green card. They say that this guy is responsible for both crimes. He took his own life when they cornered in on him at a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire. We're going to take your calls when we come back. How many inept, bad moves in this case on what you should not do in an investigation? This was like the Keystone Cops. 1-800-848-9222. And we'll take your calls when we come back.
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This shrimp and coconut sauce is divine. What's your secret?
Goya coconut milk.
How does it taste so good?
It's all in that real coconut flavor and that rich, creamy texture.
What about thickeners and added sugars?
None. Just smooth, coconutty goodness.
What can I make with it?
From curries to sweet treats like coconut flan, the possibilities are endless.
Goya coconut milk. Take your cooking to the next level. No question about it. Find it in the Goya section of your local grocery store. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana. Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
I got a message that our flight was canceled. But they can put us on another flight, and we just need to confirm our credit card info.
Wait, I got a security alert from McAfee. It flagged that message as a scam.
McAfee's scam detector automatically spots and alerts you to suspicious texts, emails, and deepfake videos. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
Well, clearly they have pieced this case together finally. And the good news is the neighborhoods there around MIT and Brown can rest comfortably tonight, because there definitely seems to be a lot of connecting links between both of those cases. It's not a coincidence the guy went to school with this professor at MIT, and then it turns around that guy is killed a few days after Brown University. Brown University massacre, he goes in. He did go there at one point, and now there are reports also that he may have gone there at 2 points, but for sure at one point. And also, I want to know about his background. What drove him to do it? Was he angry at something tied to physics? Because apparently, physics class, physics professor, was there something, a radical extremism? We don't know. Hopefully we will find out very, very soon. Let's go to Pete in Lakewood on line 4. Pete, your thoughts tonight.
I just want to know what he had ties to any other similar murder. Maybe if he killed 2 people, he might have done some other crime that they don't know about yet.
Yeah, no, by the way, that's a very good point, Pete, because often when somebody commits, if you're going to commit these horrible, heinous crimes, there may be many other things. And it sounds like he really thought he was going to get away with it. He wore the mask. He used these phones that were not traceable. He was also using other people's credit cards. But it's interesting that he rented the car under his name. And that was part of the way that they were able to get him. But it sounds like he went through a lot of effort. And you're right, he may be hiding a whole bunch of other crimes, too.
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is Charlie. He's my part rescue dog, part whirlwind. Half of his breakfast always ends up on the floor. And he leaves fur everywhere. That's why I grabbed the Bissell Power Clean Fur Finder. It's cordless, powerful, and actually finds fur you don't even see. If you've got a pet like Charlie, you've got fur everywhere. The Power Clean Fur Finder gets that. Discover how Power Clean Fur Finder makes pet cleanups effortless at Bissell.com.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit REI.com.
At IKEA, your dreams can come true. Well, maybe not the ones where you're being chased by a monster. We're talking about kitchen dreams. And there are IKEA products and solutions for all of them. Whether it's a whole new kitchen, a statement glassware set, or just new cutlery. If you got big dreams or small dreams in any size of budget, IKEA can help you bring them to life. Visit IKEA.us/dreamkitchen to learn more. Dream the possibilities.
Hi, it's Eva Longoria, and let's be real. After 40, we should ask for more from our skincare. I swear by Revitalift Triple Power Moisturizer by L'Oreal Paris. With vitamin C, pro-retinol, and hyaluronic acid, it reduces my wrinkles, firms, and brightens. And it's not a procedure. It's just a hard-working moisturizer.
Revitalift Triple Power Moisturizer by L'Oreal Paris. Grab it today in fragrance-free or with SPF 30. Available at your local Walmart.
Rita Cosby is on. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, so many details coming in just the last hour. A suspect who's been identified as 48-year-old Claudio Neves Valente came in on a student visa, and they are saying that he became a legal resident status citizen. He applied for a green card, and he got the lawful residential status supposedly in 2017, but that he is responsible for the shooting, the murder at Brown University, and the murder not that far away of that MIT professor. So many details coming in. And also, it really shows the level of ineptitude at some of these colleges and the poor security at some of these colleges. Also, there's some reports that it may have been a custodian who was the one who encountered that guy in the bathroom and then kind of chased after him and was walking around later. So if that's the case, bravo to the custodian. But why the heck didn't the custodian come forward earlier? Why did he have to wait till his picture was up on the news and they were saying, hey, we're looking for this person who may have come in contact with, the potential shooter? So I have a lot of questions tonight. Why was the custodian worried about coming forward? There's a lot of questions. I'm not ready to call him a hero just yet. But here are some of the details, and I want to get your thoughts tonight. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. What are the big lessons from this investigation, and in many ways, what not to do? Luckily, they did finally piece it together, and thank goodness those two communities can rest now safely. Here, first off, here are authorities. This is in Providence, Rhode Island, describing how they pieced the case together. They just broke this a little bit ago.
A lot of threads, and it's not always the first one that's going to get you where you need to go. But when you do crack it, you crack it. And that person led us to the car, which led us to the name, which led us to the photographs of that individual renting the car, which matched the clothing of our shooter here in Providence, that matched the satchel that we see here in Providence. He was found dead with a satchel with 2 firearms and evidence in the car that that matches exactly what we see at the scene here in Providence. And so I know that you and the public have questions about how we got from a place yesterday where all we could share with you was a photograph of someone we wanted to talk to where we got to tonight. And so we got an state.
And also, he was asked during that press conference, okay, well, did the guy say anything? Because there were reports that he might have said Allah Akbar or something like that. Listen to this exchange. They still can't give us a straight answer.
Now, there's a report the shooter yelled something right before his shot came in. Could you tell us what that was?
Yeah, it's part of the investigation, John. And
Now, the only reason I ask that, though, is, for instance, like with the Unabomber, his brother recognized the writing. So it's possible a friend or family member might recognize if the person said something that was significant.
Correct.
That's why you don't, other than the 9mm, is there anything else inside that auditorium that you could tell us?
No, that's correct. And listen, like I said earlier, investigations will bring us to evidence that we need to collect in order to be able to prosecute. With that being said, we're going to continue to collect evidence, and if it leads us to something to that nature that's going to be extremely helpful for us to identify somebody, we'll be the first ones to put it out.
Alex, follow up on John's question. Did the suspect yell, like has been reported, and there's been some erroneous reporting, but did he yell when he came to the classroom? And how valuable have witness statements been from those who survived?
Listen, like, my heart goes out to the victims, it goes out to the families, and I'll tell you that their cooperation has been extremely helpful. And that, with that being said, we'll continue, and I'm going to respect the fact that, and I hope that they get better, and my heart and soul goes out to them. So,
did he yell though?
So that's something that we're investigating. We took statements, and we have to confirm that.
So,
we're gonna wrap.
We gotta go because we're getting hammered again by the media. Because boy, were they ever. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And this comes, by the way, as we have seen so many violent acts really taking place across the country and across the globe. What is going on? Why are people turning to violence for retribution? It looks like to me, in this case, we don't know the motive yet, but that he was maybe angry at the physics department. But clearly there must have been some warning sign. I mean, did family members see that this guy was troubled? We don't know yet very many details about him. We just know his name, and we know that he did attend the school, and he also did know the MIT professor. But clearly there had to have been some warning signs. You don't just suddenly snap and open fire, rent a vehicle. I mean, it was very planned. And it was also very planned how he would escape too as well. He had these fake phones and blocking the numbers. I mean, there are a whole bunch of stuff, changing the license plate. There's a lot of planning here, guys. So this is just an incredible. What warning signs were clearly missed? And boy, has this been a wake-up call to so many college campuses across the country. The fact that Brown University didn't have cameras there. They didn't seem to have a straight answer. Even tonight, they can't even tell us if the guy spoke or barked. I mean, that's an incredible thing. Here we are days later. And also, so many things going on around the globe. We know about that horrible shooting that took place in Australia at Bondi Beach. And get this, just a little bit ago, the Australian police arrested several more men. They were like heavily fortified. They had weaponry on them, body armor and some other stuff. What were they planning? And apparently they were planning to go to Bondi Beach. Another group of attackers. Remember, the other ones went in and killed 50 Jewish citizens and injured dozens of others. Listen to this report that just came out from Fox News.
Australia now. There was news overnight. Australian police conducting a huge operation in a suburb of Sydney, only days after the terror attack in Bondi Beach nearby. Agents acted on new intel suggesting another possible violent plot, but they have not identified an immediate link to the ongoing investigation. In Sydney for us, Steve Harrigan chasing down all of these leads and joins us now. Steve, hello.
Bill, Australia's counter-terror police are in action in a very big way in a suburb of Sydney. In heavily outfitted tactical gear, they rammed 2 vehicles, detained 7 men they say were planning a violent attack on the way here to Bondi Beach to carry out an attack, but police saying there is no connection at this point between those plans and the attack that did take place here on Sunday. In the meantime, as funerals continue for the 15 people killed in that attack here, some video has been released, cell phone video, that shows 2 of the victims, Rabbi Schlanger and 10-year-old Matilda. You can get the sense of what a joyous celebration this was in the moments before that attack. Little 10-year-old Matilda, the youngest victim, dancing to the music in the distance. Within an hour, these 2 would be gunned down, murdered by terrorist bullets. Meantime, the Prime Minister has said Australia clearly needs to do more to combat terrorism. They need new legislation to govern hate speech as well. And finally, the man who tried to disarm one of those terrorists, Ahmed El Ahmad, has earned more than $2.5 million in online donations. He's recovering in the hospital from 2 shots to his shoulder. Bill, back to you.
Wow, Steve, thanks. Steve Harrigan with the latest there from Sydney.
Wow. And by the way, that guy who stopped the attackers there in Australia, get this, he's now being branded a traitor in the Arab media. Can you believe it? Being called a traitor because he stopped the attack on Jewish citizens. It was the, shopkeeper who intervened and stopped one of those killers. Remember, it was a father-son duo, stopped one of them. You see him on the videotape. Then he gets shot himself. He's in the hospital. But the comments from the Arab media saying he should have died and that he is a traitor to Arabs. That is horrible. And this guy's a Syrian Australian who said he could not watch what was going on and not intervene, that he had to intervene and stop the killing of these poor people, these innocent people that were becoming slaughtered by these 2 individuals, these 2 madmen, the father and son duo. Can you believe he's now being branded a traitor in the Arab media? The hero. And yet they are branding him a traitor. I hope the Mossad, the great Israeli, security force, the best in the world, I hope that they give him 24/7 security. Because now he's going to be a target from the Arab people because he stood up from the fanatics in that religion. That's where I'm coming from. The fanatics, Islamic extremists. You know that this guy will be a target. How sad is that for doing the right thing that we would hope every single human being who saw what was going on would have done? 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Tony in Clifton on line 1. Go ahead, Tony.
Rita, hi. The first thing I noticed that struck me was when they were asking questions and the colonel gave a lot of answers, he would always say no. Was it anti-Semitic? No. And they asked about the cameras. But one thing is when they asked about the first suspect, remember that? And they said, did you cause delay by concentrating on the first person? The first thing I thought of, and tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't they take the students off of lockdown when the first person was they said it wasn't the first person, that he was a suspect, but it's not him.
Yes.
Those students, nobody mentioned that. Those students were all put in harm's way again because no one, if they were still looking, they were just a disaster. And it so reminded me of when we watched the hearings of the FBI with President Trump. All the, patting each other on the back and what a great job we did. That's not the way President Trump does this. When something happens, there's no sympathy. The DA didn't even mention their names, Rita. He gets on and he goes, let me tell you, there was no sympathy. This was a botched job. And everyone, even the FBI guy in Boston, wasn't too impressive because he said it wasn't related. And what did we learn from other investigations? You never say it's not related.
Right. And by the way, it clearly is now that we know the guy. And listen, had they had a better camera, I brought up the Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk case, because in that case, think about how quick they saw the images of Tyler Robinson. Remember? I mean, very quickly, there were great pictures out there, and the parents said, "That's my son." And they told the son to turn himself in because they could clearly tell it was their son. But it was great footage. This one, they were relying on Ring cameras from homes. I mean, you look at it, the best images are like from somebody's porch. And it's an $8 billion endowment. This president should resign. It's disgraceful.
Elise Stefanik is going to get a hold of her because this was Hanukkah. What are you doing? What is going on in that school? Elise Stefanik is going to fix her tail because she looked like she was medicated. And she goes, well, anyone who questions me, that's not right and all this other stuff. And you know what, Rita? No one said this is a travesty. We don't want anything like this to ever happen again. They're all covering their butts because they think that they're going to just continue on. No funding for you. Oh, this is a private school. This is a disgrace.
It is a disgrace.
What?
And the fact that she started by scolding everybody, too. I mean, that was another doozy, Tony. I mean, she started by, just ripping and saying, oh, well, all these, the circular comments online and the this and that. It was like, get to the point. You're here for, and I saw no sign of contrition from her that they did anything wrong. And that's a problem. Tony, thank you. You are always so terrific, and you always have such great insights. Everybody, we're going to continue your calls after the break. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. But first, support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment with a powerful story from Chattanooga, Tennessee, where the city of Chattanooga proclaimed December 2nd, 2025 as Mitchell Williams Day, shortly after the local veteran celebrated his 100th birthday. During World War II, the private first class of the U.S. Army was stationed in the Aleutian Islands. He said, I'm telling you, it was rough, but I made it. That is one thing for sure. And a local councilwoman there went on to say that this great veteran is living a testament to the strength of character, humility, and service that define the very best of our citizens. And bravo to this great member of the greatest generation. And everybody, all it takes is just $11 a month. Donate $11 a month to the incredible Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Be sure to check them out. They do such incredible good for our heroes and their families. Check them out at T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rated E for everyone. Includes in-game purchases. Includes random items. EA Sports FC 26 is here. Play your way this holiday season with an overhauled gameplay experience powered by community feedback. Enjoy festive upgrades in Ultimate Team with Winter Wildcards. Take on holiday-themed challenges and manage your career, like navigating the busy Christmas period. And team up with friends and clubs with new tournaments and live events. The club is yours. Give the gift of football with EA Sports FC 26.
This is a real good story about Bronx and his dad, Ryan, real United Airlines customers.
We were returning home, and one of the flight attendants asked Bronx if he wanted to see the flight deck and meet Captain Andrew.
I got to sit in the driver's seat.
I grew up in an aviation family, and seeing Bronx kind of reminded me of myself when I was that age.
That's Andrew, a real United pilot.
These small interactions can shape a kid's future.
It felt like I was the captain.
Allowing my son to see the flight deck will stick with us forever.
That's how good leads the way.
Starting your business isn't just about opening the doors. It's keeping the dream you built secure. With New York Life, you get the financial guidance to make it real. Start today at NYL.com.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kann du Norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
It's the Rita Cosby Show. Breaking news.
And it sure is a busy news day. Also, this just coming in, that Wisconsin judge who snuck the illegal migrant, remember, out of her courtroom when ICE was trying to take him into custody. She has been found guilty by a jury of obstruction for helping that immigrant shake federal authorities. We'll keep you posted on that. But remember that video? Like suddenly you see the ICE guys waiting in one direction and it looks like she's opening the door to sneak him out a side door and a stairwell. So bravo to the jury. I definitely would have found her guilty, and I think it sends a very powerful message. 1-800-848-9222, and you're listening to The Rita Cosby Show on a very busy news night. Let's go to Thomas on line 4. Go ahead, Thomas, your thoughts.
Oh, thank you, Rita. Your program is a Christmas gift, by the way. But, you know, Rita, I would say these parents need to wise up. Why would you send your son or daughter to a school, a left-wing seminary, that has basically disarmed? You know what I would look for? I would look for God, guardian angels, and just say no to drugs. Those are the three important things. You know, if these big Ivy League, you know, these disarmed institutions of higher learning, you know, they need to really... Why even consider them? The application pool should crater. That's the best way to get results when they have nobody applying to the school next year. Because, Rita, they don't listen to anything else. The only thing they look to, they pray at the altar of money. They don't want to hear anything else, conservative values. It's another DEI program, and the parents really need to wise up and look for schools that are going to protect your son or daughter, first of all, and maybe teach them something rather than just left-wing ideology. What do you think, Rita?
Well, I actually think I would never send, a child. I would never tell a friend to send their child also to Brown. With that president still in the position that she's in, she's a disgrace. She's getting $3 million a year, I just saw. So nice money if you can get it. Wow. And boy, is she inept. And I found it disgraceful tonight that she started the press conference by sort of scolding everybody for, pointing out how inept she was. And all the questions were like, hey, if you had put out better video, if you had done this, if you had cameras in that older building where the shooting took place. And she wouldn't even say, yeah. They said, won't you just say it? Won't you just say, you wish you had cameras there? Well, blah, 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 blah. You know, it was painful. And to me, she doesn't deserve to stay in her position because there were so many big mistakes made. The other thing, real quick, we just have a little bit left, Thomas, but also this guy came in on a student visa. And we're hearing comments tonight from Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, that they will start looking at this program that he in particular came in on. I think we got to start looking at these student visas again, right? We absolutely, it's a reminder, we got to do better vetting, right? Thomas?
Talked about that.
Yep. Yeah, we got to do much better vetting. And you know what I think about, too? I believe the Sarnia brothers and the Boston Marathon, they came in on a student visa and overstayed their visa. This guy got a green card. But there's a lot more to this story, and we got to keep America safe, guys.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy, Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida, too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. Arrive.